And it's thinking. Well, now we're waiting on YouTube. Hey, we're live. Closer, please. Look how far. Yes, remember, it's a wide angle lens.
Okay, but you're cut off.
There.
Okay, folks, hi.
Turn this volume down. How's our audio? Somebody give us a thumbs up and let us know that you can hear us. And you see us? Perfect.
Well, look, closed captioning's working on it.
Oh my god, live closed captioning on.
That is pretty darn cool.
Dang, go YouTube.
Sweet.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna turn ours off.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
so this was kind of a spontaneous thing. We really thought that we would be driving up to my mom's right now and dropping off our Mini Cooper in Melbourne, Florida, and then bringing her back to the boat and getting ready to cruise tomorrow morning.
Well, actually, our original plan is we'd probably be cruising through Georgia right about now.
Well,
so we're our plans, our typical boat plans are shifting and shifting and.
Key message: you have to be flexible.
Yeah. So today is first, who are we?
Oh, hi, I'm Cherie.
I'm Chris, and you might run across this, know us as Technomadia, and we live on a boat right now. And today is June 1st.
And that is, for anyone in the southeast is very aware that that is the start of the hurricane season, and we got a nice reminder last weekend when Tropical Storm Alberto paid an early visit.
Yes, getting just a little jump ahead of schedule. Hopefully this will not be a very exciting hurricane season like last year.
But it's looking like it might be close.
The forecast is slightly above average, and last year was significantly above average. So hopefully we're better than last year. But even better than last year can still be pretty scary. So what the hell are we still doing in Florida?
All right, so our original plan, always in quotes, always in jello, always in sand, was we're going to leave Miami, which we did finally in early April. We're going to come to Fort Pierce for a month.
1 month.
1 month, attend the MTO rendezvous, and hopefully get the generator working again. And we had been put in contact with a carpenter who said he could get our projects done by the time we would leave on May 10th. And
we also got in touch with a mechanic to install a new generator we decided to purchase. And there were some weather issues, and neither one of those projects both of them had issues with working in the rain. Particularly the generator work, some of it couldn't be done in the rain because it involved being hauled out of the boatyard. And we had some prolonged rain, but the mechanic, other than the rain issues, nailed it. Got everything done.
Fantastic mechanic. It was East Coast Power Systems of Fort Pierce. Eddie. He's recommended by the captain,
Captain
Chris. He was fabulous. Yep. Just loved him to death.
Yes. Now our carpenter, on the other hand, has been doing wonderful work, but he has been very off in his own time estimates. Repeatedly, and that has been a little frustrating because he said it'd take about 3 weeks for this project, and now we're about 3 weeks overdue from that original.
So we know from experience, any remodeling project, whether it's in a home,
double the time,
a bus, or an RV, just double the time, and we are now at double the time.
Yes.
And, every day, I would be okay with it. He would just be realistic and just say, hey, I am running behind schedule. This is going to be another week. And so he says, no, I'm going to wrap this up tomorrow. And every day...
tomorrow, it's like, that piece I cut it a little short, or this is a little off, or I need to do that. And okay, we'll see you tomorrow morning? Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow morning, first thing. Okay.
And his conception of time, he would make a fantastic nomad, living on nomadic standard time or NST, like we try to. Like this morning, he said he was going to be here at 9 a.m. to get everything done today. Today was going to be his full final install day. He doesn't even show up till 11, almost noon.
11. It was 11.
But he was working on our stuff in his shop. But meanwhile, we have to get up way in advance of that and get our work done in the morning because it's really hard. I'm trying to get work done while Chris is working with him and being an assistant with him.
And I'm the electrician on the project, so I can do it. As soon as he finishes something, I can wire it. It's like, okay.
So, yeah. It's just been... So, he did not come back this afternoon. More rainstorms this afternoon. He didn't want to... He's bringing over the final big pieces, and he's transporting them in the truck of his bed.
Bed of his truck, yes.
Yeah, that thing. And yes, he wraps them in plastic and stuff like that, but he doesn't want to risk them getting wet on the way over, which we totally appreciate. So he didn't come over this afternoon, and now he's going to be again tomorrow, 9 a.m., which we don't know if that means 11 noon.
I know. And he swears he's got everything ready to wrap up tomorrow, but that's happened a couple times.
It's frustrating because we would love to be at least North Florida at this point. Now, our blessings are, a lot of boaters have insurance. Their insurance has restrictions on being in Florida or south of a certain area during
starting
hurricane
June
season.
1st, basically. Yeah.
Our insurance does not have that stipulation, so we have no reason other than our own risk factors of wanting to be.
And also, I think the biggest thing is we're eager to move forward a little bit. We're not in a rush to go anywhere, but we've been in Fort Pierce now 2 months, and we love this town. We're actually really in love with Fort Pierce. But we've walked the trail too many times. It's kind of how we like to think of places.
So, yeah, and it's been hard to get out and enjoy Fort Pierce when every single day we have him saying he's coming over, and then we never know if he's coming over for 30 minutes or going to be here all day or not show up at all. And
how much of the house we have to tear apart and put back together.
We're constantly putting it back and forth and doing this cabinet, that cabinet. And it's taking a toll on us. We're trying to not let it stress us out too much, because in the grand scheme of things, I love what our friend Sean says, who also lives on a boat. It's a first world yacht problem. And you want to go and show them what is done?
Well, just 1 second. I also want to say that this is also not nearly as stressful as past projects we've been through, like being stuck in the boatyard in Miami. We're up on the hard, and that was stuff.
Or when our bus was being renovated, we felt
the bus renovation was probably the extreme when that project went off the rails, and there was a period of time where we thought our bus was destroyed, and we would never. The renovation basically would turn into totaling our bus. They would never be able to finish it.
This is not that level of stress.
No.
We're doing okay.
Other than our living room, our house is great. We've got a lot of stuff we're doing, and it's just eager to move. And if anything, in some ways, it's easier to have a big explosion of a project that everything is happening all at once, and then you wrap it up. But this has been kind of lingering and making very slow progress. And that's not we're not slow progress kind of people. When we tackle a project, we like to go all in and go really fast.
So it's like, oh, okay, he got knobs in today.
Yes. Oh, well, we attached 3 screws. Okay.
Oh, he took some more measurements.
You have to measure one more time. Okay.
And then he still cuts it wrong.
So
okay. Trying not to be.
Yes. Because the end result, the work is beautiful in the end. It's just these humps are, particularly the constant setting the wrong expectations have been tough.
But would you guys like to see the work that is done so far?
Some of it, yes.
Okay, so let's turn the camera around.
Okay, spin this. Hopefully, the remote control will register.
So we're sitting on the couch, and across the way, all that cabinetry work. I'll actually go over there.
And we got a chair now. You can pretend there's a desk.
So this was just cabinetry. I don't even know if my sound voice is projecting right off. And so we had to take out the original cabinetry and expand it, because this has been the long-term goal.
Okay. Use the side button. The remote. I don't know whether they shipped it with a dumb battery, but the last day it's been not work. The remote stopped working 10 minutes ago. So this is supposed to be the wireless remote for this. Dun, da, da. Look at that glorious 4K HDR screen.
So this was the end goal. So what is left of the project is the top. It's got to have a hinged top, and this wall is not straight. Of course, we are in a boat. These windows
lean in.
So the measurements on this thing had to be absolutely precise. So this was a challenge, no doubt. And then
that.
Below we have an Xbox now. That's also our Blu-ray player.
Other side is bookcase and stuff, and an Apple TV is tucked up in there. It's kind of hard to see, but I on my side of the project, the electrical project, I did basically put in new wiring and outlets all behind the wall there, and kind of places to hide the rat's nest of wires, as well as build in Ethernet and coax antenna wiring and Ethernet distribution all throughout the boat. So there was a lot of electrical stuff. I think I put in 7 outlets, 7 different boxes of outlets.
Because what we're doing over here is there is a corner desk that's going to come from here to here, and that will be a desk space for us, and that's why we have the office chair. So the office chair will sit here, so that the TV is not blocked by the office chair while we're sitting on the couch, which is over there.
Yes.
Other projects going on.
Mm-hmm.
This used to be where the television was.
When we first bought the boat.
When we first bought the boat, it was a
Big
25-inch tube TV. We took that out long ago and put just makeshift doors on there. So what we have done here is we had some shelving put in so we can have more organization. Wine cabinet is over here. And now
New
we have
doors.
nice finished doors.
And they're soft closing.
Soft close, those are so cool. Then the other project that he's working on, so it is a lot of projects. I mean, we
don't
get
have
it.
much cable here. Let's
Okay.
see.
So over here we took out the Princess 3-burner stove and oven. Last year we had replaced it with a convection microwave oven. And then this place is a mess. We bought a 2-burner induction hob
which we normally don't keep in the middle of the living room.
Right. It's going to be inset where the oven was, and then that turned into cabinet space. So he made a new door for there. So there is progress. It's just I'm ready for it to be done.
Yes. Okay. So that's what we're up to. And I figured, it's June 1st. We just commemorate hurricane season starting by giving a little update on where we are at here live.
So we are getting a lot of questions about, like, what are our, now obviously last hurricane season for us personally, we ended up in Marathon for Hurricane Irma.
Now this time last year, and if you rewind the YouTube channel a year, you'll see us doing a video on June 1st from Fort Myers, Florida, the exact opposite coast, talking about how we are intentionally gambling on doing hurricane season in Florida because we didn't have time to get the boat anywhere else, and we're like, well, it's been 12 years without a major storm. What are the odds? Knock, knock, knock on not enough wood, clearly.
We're not vexing it this year like that. We're fully aware of the risks. I mean, we went through it last year. But when it comes to hurricanes, you have noticed. They don't just pop up. You usually have some notice and you have some time to make a plan. Whether that's securing your boat, your RV, or your house, trying to move it, evacuating, you can make informed decisions, and we will always make decisions that are best for protecting our safety.
Right. And last year we had to deal with both our boat and our bus were in the path of Irma. Now our bus is, any hurricane that is threatening both Austin, Texas and Florida is the kind of like, civilization ending storm. So, all bets are off. So we've got the bus safely moved out there and on its way to the desert Southwest for the winter is our plan. And so we'd only have to worry about the boat if this coming hurricane season. So easier to deal with.
The other thing about hurricane season, it is not a guarantee that a hurricane is going to follow you to exactly where you are. There's probably better odds that we don't see a direct impact than we will. Mm-hmm. And anywhere that we are on the East Coast, we're at risk. Even if we get north of Florida. Last year, Hurricane Irma also had South Carolina in her eye. Oh, yeah. Tropical Storm Philippe crossed us in the Keys in late season and hit Maine. So there is no guaranteed safe space anywhere up the East Coast. So we consider ourselves at risk anywhere until we get to Canada. Like inner Canada.
And then they might have one of those freak Canadian summer blizzards. You never know. I mean, it's the weather.
So yes, it's a risk. But like I said earlier, our insurance has no restrictions on us being in Florida for hurricane season. We are insured for it. So originally we were thinking active hurricane season really ramps up
in Florida.
In this area of this region. August, September, October is the peak being mid-September. So we still have a couple months.
Hopefully our cabinet project will be done by then.
Originally we're going to try to get to the South Chesapeake, like Norfolk, Virginia area by August was the original goal. That is now seeming like a very endeavorous goal and not giving us a lot of time to explore all the amazing places that are along the way. So we'll be making informed decisions along the way and picking a pace that feels right for us.
Our next stop of a tiny piece of time will be Melbourne, Florida, because that's Cherie's old home base. So we're eager to go there by water now, and then just continue up, and maybe we'll even see a launch from the water.
That would be great.
That would be very cool.
So we're playing it by ear. That's the plan. Really no lack of plan. We're still going to be meandering north as soon as everything buttons up here.
Yeah. Other than the cabinet project wrapping up, we are basically ready to go. So we got the new generator. And
ready to do some anchoring out and start breaking that thing in.
Yes. So, any questions or anything?
Yeah.
Or do you want to mention our other bit of news? Do you want to tease with that? Or?
Yeah, we actually do have some good things going on.
Yes.
Besides, I mean,
life is good.
Life is really good.
Yes.
I mean, it's really hard to complain when we've got a glorious 49-inch television screen.
And when the TV's down, we've got an incredible view of the Indian River here. I mean, we are in a great place, great location. This is when the wind's not from the south. This is a wonderful, tranquil marina. We have it almost by ourselves. Yesterday I was getting almost 100 megabits per second over marina Wi-Fi. I mean, that's a good life right there.
But the other thing up is our long-term plans with our bus. Now, if you're not caught up on our overall mission here, is we're doing the Great Loop. As it gets too cold, as we move north in the boat, we're going to be storing the boat, moving back aboard our RV and exploring the desert southwest. That's the long-term goal.
Yes.
So eventually we'll be splitting our year basically between the two, because the boating season will get shorter and shorter the further north we go.
Yes. Yeah, if we ever get up to Lake Superior, the boating season's like 5 days or something. It's
So our long-term plan for the bus is we fell in love with the escapee Saguaro Park in Benson, Arizona a couple years ago.
Yeah, and in particular, we just love the desert southwest in the winter. So we've been looking for a home base and a place to keep the bus safely when we're not there. And so we've had our name on the list at the Saguaro Co-op for 2 years now, right?
Yeah, so we got on the hot list 2 years ago. Basically, it's a co-op. You buy a lifetime lease there. They start at just under $11,000, and then you've got this 75-foot by 52-foot RV lot on this nicely terraced, beautiful views.
We love it because it's terraced, so you have view. You're not looking at other RVs. You're looking out at the mountains, which we love. We love the views.
We actually last weekend finally secured our spot there.
Got to the top of the list. Not to the top of the list, but got high enough up the list that we were the top caller for the weekend. And we got a spot, and it's not just any spot. It was a spot that actually belonged to a friend of ours who is now moving away from there. So we know the spot. We've had happy hour on the terraced back patio of this little casita, and so we know it's a beautiful spot, and it's going to be ours. So we're excited.
Yes. So we are new leaseholders at Skip Saguaro. We're just waiting for the final paperwork to come in, but. That is where the bus will live in year round, is on that lot.
And then we'll take
storage.
Or the storage lot there, or we'll be adventuring in the southwest.
It'll be our home base. We're not going to be settling down there, but if it ever comes a day where we want to be still in one space, it's a great place to be, especially in the winter. And I wouldn't want to live there in the summer. A lot of people are concerned about our bus. Our bus actually lived most of its service life in that exact area of Arizona, so it spent 50 years there.
Partly why our bus is in such good shape is that it was preserved in the desert. The desert does good things for buses. Yep.
So we're excited about that. And that it just serendipitously lined up because you call in every weekend when a leaseholder spot comes up, and if you're the one on the top, the highest on the list for that weekend, then you get first dibs on it. And it just all aligned that it happened to be this one that belonged to our friend and was the friend who introduced us to the park. Yeah. And we fell in love with her spot. We love the view from the back porch of that spot. So super excited about that. It actually has a little casita, so it's got basically a living room, and
they've used it as an art studio in the past.
Yep. So it'll be office space, an entertainment room. It's got a storage room, and it is plumbed to put in a half bath, so we can actually add a half bath in there.
So exciting! That's we're up to some pretty cool stuff, and mostly things are pretty good. Ready to move?
You're just ready to move. So we'll go ahead. I'm going to try to find some of the questions y'all are asking. Feel free to ask questions. We're just here to hang out. We're basically just using this opportunity to hang out. We've been kind of a little bit lonely here too. A lot of the snowbirds are left. And in
particular, our marina, there's the light on the bike is on. Somebody's
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So yeah, we're the basically the only people living at this marina, it seems.
So it is lonely. It is kind of lonely here. Had we known this project was going to take a month longer, number one, we wouldn't have signed on. But we probably would have moved to one of the other marinas in the area that's better protected and has more liveaboards there.
And or we would have done more trying to coordinate social time with other people and stuff here, just because we've always been on this like edge of like, well, maybe we're leaving tomorrow for the last 2 weeks. That was been hard to do too much social. But we had some fun social time. Actually, just last night we did. But yes, and then we'll have Cherie's mom on board, and as soon as we're ready to go, she's been on hold because she wants to join us for the cruise from here to Melbourne, to kind of experience her area by water. But she's been on hold because what day do you come down? Well, maybe not tomorrow.
And she's trying to. One of her friends is going to be bringing us all back to the boat, so her friend's on hold. So it's just okay. Anyway, so some of the questions is people were asking if the cabinet doors have latches on them. So yes, they all have these push button latches that secure the door when underway so that the doors aren't flying open.
Yep. And that was installing on the new cabinets. Installing those latches was one of today's projects, and of the 5 latches that were installed, 3 of them don't quite latch, and he needs to add spacers now. So again, it's like they're supposed to be done today. Now it's going to be finished tomorrow. So
all because he didn't measure it correctly.
It's off by a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What camera are we using for this video for the live feed? So tonight we're using a Mevo, which is MEVO.
See, it can do tricks like that. Zoom in on Cherie's face or pan over to me. So we're not using the fancy features that the Mevo has, but it's a multi-cam virtual cam system, but it broadcasts really nicely to YouTube Live without much fuss. So it's quick and easy to grab. And it's only about 2 inches tall, so it's just sitting on the tripod.
Yeah, we've been using it for over almost 2 years now, I think, since it came out.
Yeah, I'll turn on autopilot for a second. Yeah.
So now it's fixed on our faces, and it's going to try to determine which one of us is talking.
Yep, there we go. So autopilot, and now we'll see what it does. Oh, no.
I don't want to see your shirt.
Yeah. We'll see if it jumps around and how it autofocuses and stuff. But yeah, you talk now. See what it does.
Oh, I'm talking now. Is it going to switch to me? See, exciting. This is what we do on a Friday night, and you're tuning in for it. So.
Yes.
Okay, so we had a question of, were you considering a windmill for power generation to augment your future solar setup?
Windmills can be very cool. If we had a sailboat, they'd be particularly interesting because you seek out places with wind in general, but we're silence people, and
so many of the wind generators that we encounter are very loud. You really have to get a really high-end one to get some semblance of silence. We're going to be able to put enough solar on here to meet most of our energy needs, and with the generator as a backup option. And the new generator only sips 1/3 of a gallon an hour.
Yep, so we should be very fuel efficient. Once we get the sound box installed, our generator should be nearly silent. And and actually the generator would probably be just as quiet as the wind power. And so we're not really drawn to wind power.
I don't know that we actually have an ideal spot to mount a wind generator anyway.
It'd be kind of awkward on our boat. Again, it's something that, in the right circumstances, I would not be opposed to it, but it's definitely not calling our names right now.
There was a request for a link to the Escapee Saguaro Park. It's SKP Saguaro something.
How do you spell saguaro?
It's the name of the cactus.
Yeah, and search for Escapees Benson, Arizona.
Yeah, you'll find it.
It's not hard to find. They've got a website, and you can see the list of properties that are coming up. And
you can even get on the hot list yourself remotely. So to get a spot there, you pay $500 to get on the hot list, and then that applies directly to your lease when you take it over, and you can get off the hot list and get a refund on that
refunded at any time. So we thought when we first found out about it 2 years ago, and actually our friends Nina and Paul were already on the list. They were like, "There's no downside. It's just basically sitting an extra $500 sitting aside with no risk to hold our spot on this list in case we wanted to maybe get a piece of property at some point." And so 2 years later, we were high enough up the list that we were able to. So definitely a good thing to do. And hey, if you're called to it, come join us.
Yes, please. We'd love to have some awesome neighbors there. So we're hoping that someone more of the escapers crowd chooses to. They are officially designated as a 55+ up park, but they are committed to allowing up to the allowed 20% to keep that designation.
Yeah, so
to being
they
under
are
45.
very welcoming to all ages. It's just
Oh,
they have
no,
to,
well, adult only.
adult only.
They're
yes.
18 and up
Yeah,
only.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, thank Joe for being our link wizard tonight. You were, well, Andy had your role on the MIA one the other night.
Yes.
Joe, the computer guy, he's he tunes in anyway, so I upgraded him to moderator in the channel, and he hasn't asked to not be, so he continues to be, and he's amazing. And he also is now on our team at the Mobile Internet Resource Center, which is our day job, and helps us out there too, which is awesome. How far north do you think we might navigate before storage in the boat? And like I said earlier, we're not even going to put plans out there.
Yeah.
We're going to do what feels right.
Yeah, so things we've talked about is we've heard good things about Brunswick, Georgia. We might go much further north than that, or we might not actually even leave Florida. Instead, we might focus on cruising up the St. Johns River, which you can go, I think, about 200 miles up the river, almost all the way to Orlando, and that's a really unique adventure to explore.
So we'll figure it out. You know, there are some marinas in South Georgia and North Florida that are known to be relatively protected for hurricanes if they do hit. So I feel that even if we got up to the Chesapeake, which is our original plan, we have equal risk up there too.
Well, we'd be fine. We'd still be finding the hurricane holes in the safe places. So it's, and the further north we get, the less chance of storms in some ways. And but we'll play it by ear. It's a reality of boating.
Yep. Let's see. Well, there's no questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people are noticing on the Saguaro Park, if you go to the see what lots are available, we are currently highlighted. They have it as Chris and Cherie Dunphy. And if you know our story, we don't share the same last name. So, okay.
I was the designated phone caller to call in.
Jonathan wants to know about the T-shirt. So our Patreons are in the know. We are actually in development of our first T-shirt for Technomadia. The design is being finalized. I have one final tweak on it with the T-shirt company, and then they will be sending us actual shirts to look at in advance before we offer them for sale.
And then they want us to wear it in a YouTube video to say, hey, you want this shirt? And it's kind of fun. It's people apparently want a shirt. We're making it not about us. It's just kind of a cool lifestyle shirt, and why not?
Well, we also wanted a boat shirt.
Yes.
We wanted a boat shirt. It's like, well, we have had enough requests over the years that we offer some sort of shirt. We're not really big into branding. I mean, we just do this for fun. We're not trying to build an audience. We're not, even though we have a Patreon, that is more about community for us than funding. So the thought of someone wearing a Technomadia logoed shirt to me is weird. So this is not a Technomadia logoed shirt. We won't reveal the Patreons know what the slogan is. So I'm going to leave that as a surprise for later. But a T-shirt is coming. It will be cool. It will not be overly branded Technomadia, but it will be just enough that you're part of our lives, but not so much that it's a cool shirt.
Yeah,
so.
It's a cool shirt. And also one of the things I'm wanting from a boat shirt is to be able to give gifts to people who come on board and crew with us and hang out with us on the boat and stuff. So, hey, here's a souvenir. We
have some requests to take off the stupid autopilot.
Okay. Turn on off autopilot. It's not quite tweaked either. It's going too fast.
Yeah.
Okay, autopilot off. Boom. Done. There we are.
So, shirts are coming. And we will... who are we using for the shirt? So, actually, it's Bonfire. Who the Keeping Your Daydreams folks, they just did a shirt with them, and and then the Bonfire folks reached out to us and said, hey, and what we liked about them is they'll do the artwork for us. We own the artwork that we've requested, as long as we do at least one round of shirt with them. So we'll be able, if for any reason they don't work out for us, and it'll be a limited time, like 2-week campaign to order through them.
Because that's how these shirt companies work, is because they're doing one print run and they know exactly how many they need in advance. They can get pretty decent prices. So cool.
Yep.
So somebody was saying that they have a place in Oak Island, North Carolina. So if it's on the water, hey, let us know when we're getting close, and we'd love to see you.
Jeff had asked any plans to visit Jekyll Island. We're not making any plans, and we're hoping that as we traverse north. We don't tend to really look to specific things too far out.
Yes.
We tend to get a place and then look at what's around. So.
And so right now I'm looking at between here and Melbourne. So I'm basically looking 40 miles ahead. And I like to plan at that kind of horizon. Is like spend a couple days, get 40 miles, plan the next 40 miles. And that's actually one of the cool things about traveling by boat, and particularly for us, is to being intentionally slow loopers, is being able to focus on that kind of scale of like, the next adventure is only 40 miles. I could technically walk that far if I really wanted to. It's kind of cool to think in that scale.
It is, and we're really finding that we're loving this slower pace of travel, going maybe 100 miles and then finding our next prolonged stop, and I'm loving marina life, because so many marinas are walking distance to cool downtown. Some are right smack dab downtown, and that we're really enjoying, because that's not something you get in RVing as often. So we're liking having this mobile condo that we get waterfront stays for at monthly rates that are pretty darn affordable.
Yeah, that's part of what's made staying at Fort Pierce not so painful, is we've got a really nice marina with a really great rate, because they're brand new and got kind of an intro rate, so score.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Keith was asking, did you get the TV mod completed? That we did show the TV mod at the beginning of the video, so go watch the archive on that. But the TV is done. It's the rest of the cabinetry around it that is
the
not.
lid on top of the TV, the hinge that will open and apparently now won't shut automatically. But okay, so.
And my new corner desk.
Yes, the corner
I'm really
desk.
excited about.
The top layer still remains to be finished. But yeah, the TV's been great, and we've enjoyed actually having an Xbox. We haven't had a game system in the time since we've been together. Last game system I owned was, I had the original Xbox the day it came out, and that's forever ago. So it's been kind of fun having a game system, and
trying to find the right games that work for us.
Yeah, that are kind of casual and fun to pick up and stuff. We were making virtual hamburgers today with a cooperative game called Overcooked, which was kind of fun.
Let's see, there was a question from Kevin. That says, when you set yourselves up to store Zephyr, was there any special considerations for a bus that old, especially the fluids? It's really no different than any other diesel engine.
Yeah, and like a lot of, there are things to do, and I think we have a video about like storing an RV and stuff.
We actually did that with the RV geeks,
right.
Peter and John.
But like in particular, like when we first bought Zephyr, it had been sitting for most of 15 years, and the engine still just fired right up, and it hadn't been maintained in that entire period of time. So some of these things, they survive well. The tires rot away before other things, but there are certainly smart things you can do.
Right. So when we get back to Zephyr in the fall, she's currently in Austin, and then of course we'll be going to Benson next. Hopefully by way of Big Bend is kind of the hope for it.
We've never had a chance to do Big Bend, and then we want to do New Year's Eve with the Escapees.
But before we can do all of that, Zephyr is due for a full
fluids and new tires.
And brand new tires. So we will have some maintenance time. We'll need to find a good 2-stroke diesel engine mechanic or someone that we trust.
In Texas, yeah.
In Texas, get new tires on her. So she is due for
and she needs the muffler work.
Yes,
the muffler's got a crack in it, and yes, old buses, but
Mm-hmm. So.
That's what we're up to. We just wanted to kind of share a little snapshot of this moment and celebrate June 1st. We haven't toasted in or anything.
Did you want to open some wine?
I don't know. Do you feel like some?
I don't know.
We didn't grab a bottle of wine before we started the broadcast, so maybe we'll just go have one after we get off this. And virtual cheers to hurricanes. I'm kind of nervous because Hurricane Chris is third on the list, or Tropical Storm Chris is, and I'd hate to have like me coming at me. So hopefully we can get past Chris without.
That would be good, not to be. If Chris hits us, it'll either be fun or...
Because then we'll be telling the story someday of how, like, hey, Chris sank our boat. And then I'd be like, no, I didn't. It wasn't me.
No sinking the boat.
Okay, no sinking the boat.
John asks, what do we use for editing videos? So I'm using Final Cut Pro to do all of our produced videos. We were using iMovie up before that, but last September-ish, about the same time Irma came into our lives, we had switched to Final Cut Pro, so I've been learning new things as I go. I pretty much do all of the video editing. Chris takes footage, some of the footage. I take a lot of the footage too. But I consider the video editing to be kind of my little hobby project while he's working on other things, because we work at very different paces. So like if he's doing a review or an article for the Mobile Internet Resource Center.
And lately I've been stuck on boat projects. I had to do all this electrical work and wiring here.
So I kind of do the video production as kind of hobby projects for me, where I still feel like I'm doing something productive and creative.
But it's more fun than work.
It's more fun than work. Well, no, our work is fun, actually.
Some days.
Yesterday we had a high moron rate day, but no, most days. I mean, I love our work of helping people figure out their mobile internet solutions. And most days it is a joy. Just sometimes you get some people who feel that they don't need to do the research themselves, and they want us to do everything for them. And I'm happy to help our members who support us, but sometimes it gets a little trying.
Okay.
Kevin asked, have you guys put all of your new boat tech to use? So we did do a full marine electronics upgrade when we were in Miami, and it got us here.
Yeah. And yeah, it's been fun to actually have a depth sounder and have radar. We've actually been using the radar quite a bit here at the marina to watch the storm waves come in when we had all this like big storms coming through. Having our own Doppler radar to see when the cells are coming was kind of fun. And yeah, we're still learning all the ins and outs of the new systems.
And one day we'll do a video on the new electronics. There's so many videos we have. Oh, we've got video taken of the generator being pulled and that project.
We've got some really great video of the generator project.
I'm so looking forward to producing that video. Probably one more. I got one more interview I want to do with Captain Chris first.
And then we've also got a lot of video and pictures and details of this TV cabinet project and everything as well.
Which I'll have to be careful. I don't want to recommend this carpenter, but I also don't want to defame him. So I would intentionally not saying his name.
Yeah, he's really great.
He's a
nice
good guy. And the work is great. But
he just bit off more than he could chew and didn't quite understand the scope of what he was getting into, and has been really off with his estimates.
Yeah.
But okay, it happens. We've been there too. So.
Another question was, how is marine docking costs compared to RV parks? So on a daily basis, marine space is usually a lot more expensive than RV parks. So you pay by the foot, and we're finding, at least here in the Florida area, it's somewhere between $1.50 and $2.50 per foot. So we have a 47-foot boat that is usually coming in around $100 to $150 a night if you're staying nightly.
It'd be $3 a foot.
Yeah,
so
like
yeah,
that.
it gets up there. It's daily rates in Florida and in prime areas can be very expensive, but monthly rates are actually fairly comparable.
Well, let's go back.
Okay.
So nightly rates in an RV park, we pay anywhere from
20 to 50.
20 to 35 to 40 is more average for our bus, and we prefer state parks and Army Corps of Engineer parks if we can get them. You can get $100 per night sites if you're getting like waterfront down in the Keys. There are exceptions to every rule, of course. Yeah. Now you get into monthly rates. So here in Florida, you also pay by the foot. We are paying $10 a foot here at this marina because we have a special rate because of the rendezvous that we attended in April. But the normal rate at this marina is $15 per foot for the month. So. Yeah. And then you also usually pay electric on top of that, and some marinas also charge you a live-aboard fee if you're actually living on board the boat. And some of them factor that in.
We're still kind of newbies at all this because we haven't experienced too many different marinas, but we're starting to get some experience. But yeah, monthly prices can be very comparable to RV life.
I would say definitely. So in Florida, getting a monthly spot in an RV park around here, you're easily going to be paying, especially if you're in a coastal town, you're probably going to be paying somewhere $600 to $900 a month for an RV spot. You can,
and in the winter more than
that. I mean, South Florida and the Keys, you can easily pay $1,500, $3,000 for an RV spot. When we're finding our marina spaces, even with the larger boat that we have, Miami was ridiculous. We're paying $28 a foot down there, so we're paying $1,400 a month down in Miami
to be parked under the airport.
Basically, just parked because we're storing mostly there. But mostly we've been paying somewhere between $700 and $900 a month with electric, and that's waterfront. I mean, downtown
by
waterfront.
by
So-
definition, marina spots tend to be waterfront, and yeah, that's one thing we love.
Yeah, so we're loving that we can. I consider when I'm paying $800 or $900 to be downtown waterfront with condos, $1 million condos with sharing the same view right next door. I consider that pretty darn good.
Yes.
Pretty affordable living for a pretty. There's boat maintenance costs and things like that, but we're really enjoying it. Let's see. Las Vegas vocalist says, "Are we both coders?" At present time, neither of us are coders.
That's true. Actually, we've outsourced our iOS development, so that was the one thing that this last big coding projects I'd done was all our iOS apps.
I've been a software developer since I started coding when I was 7 years old, and that was my career up until I really shifted out of that role maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little less. Started moving more into project management roles and stuff like that. And then you've done some coding on and off. I don't think you would identify as a coder.
I've done all sorts of things. I don't identify as anything.
You're a geek. You're a nerd and a geek.
Yes.
And so, yeah, these days, neither of us coding. We're focusing more on content creation, helping people understand tech. I found where my passion is. I understand technology and the high geekiness. I can hang out with the coders and the geeks, but I can explain it to none.
Yes.
And that's what your skill is too. Is
Sit in the middle.
Yeah, so it's helping bridge the gap, kind of being translators between the two. So we love what we do at the Mobile Internet Resource Center and helping people understand the intricacies of mobile connectivity. So it's a good fit for both of us. Arizona Cactus Flower says, "Have we been to Karchner Caverns?" Which is you've been to? Yes, we did on our last one of our visits.
Yeah, so Karchner Caverns is one of the most recently developed tour caves that's available for easy access tours. But because it wasn't done in the gaudy period, they have very natural lighting and really, really well preserved. It's beautiful, and yeah, highly recommend it. Near Tucson, Benson area.
Let's see.
So Keith asks, can we view our radar mobile, or is it a stationary unit? And we can actually connect to our two chart plotters. Our chart plotter controls the radar, but we can connect to our chart plotters from an iPhone or an iPad and bring up the screen anywhere where we are in the boat. So we can view the radar from right here if we wanted to.
Which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Let's see. Cheryl says they found AIS is more useful than radar.
We've definitely gotten some good use out of our AIS so far.
Yes, and radar we're finding really great has being able to track storm systems.
Yep. Radar is very, very handy when you lose visibility. So either fog or nightfall, and or heavy rain and stuff like that. So far we have not been out cruising on the water through any of those conditions. But it's going to be, radar is the sort of thing that you ideally can avoid needing to use, but when you need it, you're very, very thankful to have it.
Kevin asks, I know you guys are liking the slow cruising. Is this going to impact our original estimate for completing the loop? So we started out considering the loop as, we're going to do it in the typical year.
I think we went straight to 3 to 5 years. Was our...
No, we started out looking, we're going to just buy a cheap boat that would get us through the first year, and we would do it, and then we realized that that's a heck of a lot of miles going at a slow pace, and that was just too much. And then we started looking at 3 to 5 years, and that's kind of what we were saying.
Yesterday you were saying 10 years.
They were saying, hey, maybe it'll take 10 years. So, we're following the Great Loop, but I don't even have a goal that we have to complete it. I don't overly identify as a looper. I'm finding, and maybe that's just because we haven't connected in with the looping community yet.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we're definitely not. We're in it for the journey, not for the getting the flag when you complete it. I very much imagine we will complete it, just because it's kind of hard to avoid making a full circle.
Yeah. And it's a great route.
It's a really great route, but it's definitely no rush, and definitely not looking to check off the miles as fast as possible.
No, what I'm enjoying more is still having a mobile lifestyle, moving on to places, but getting to experience. I love anchoring out, and I love urban life, and I like mixing it up, and it's fun. It's fun. I'm not ready to settle down by any stretch of the imagination, but I am ready to slow it down and have kind of micro routes.
Yep.
This question is, can we write off the costs for tax purposes because it's your home? So our boat and our RV. So we currently have a loan on the boat. We did that because our investments are doing really well, and we don't want to pay capital gains. So it just we're making money by even paying interest on the boat right now.
Yeah. So yeah, we did actually think we wrote about that last year.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So this last year we were actually able to write off the interest that we're paying as our home mortgage.
Yeah, but because the way the tax system's changing and stuff, that's it won't apply in the future. So it's only it's kind of a 1-year deal.
So we are actually looking at, since it's no longer going to be a tax benefit for us, of at what point do we just pay off the boat?
Yeah, try to accelerate the payments and stuff.
So we're starting to make some big payments on it and reducing the mortgage on it. But as far as tax purposes, that's about the only thing you can really write off on taxes.
Yeah, you can technically do some home office stuff, but it gets really tricky because you have to have dedicated space, and in an RV or in a boat, there's really rare to have space that is dedicated to be an office.
So we don't write off like home office expenses.
Right.
What having 2 homes now does allow us to do, though, is like when we took the bus out to the RV Entrepreneur Summit in Texas, we were paying a marina slip rate for the boat in Miami. And the tax rules are, if your tax home base moves, so if you live in an RV or a boat, you can't write off mileage and travel expenses if you're traveling in your home.
Yes.
But now we actually can claim that we were paying for one home while incurring travel expenses to move.
A business trip with another.
So we were able to write off a lot of our travel expenses in the bus out to Texas.
Yeah, but again, we are not tax attorneys or experts, so do your homework on this, because there's a lot of stuff that is debatable and not necessarily very clear rules on. So get your own professional advice and figure it out. But yeah, it's tricky and complicated because there's not a lot of good tax guidance for nomads. The tax queen.
Tax queen, she works in the RVing community.
Yeah, she's kind of an
she has
expert in
a little book out on it too. He says, so what about staying at each docking station or RV park? Well, I mean, you can't write off your mortgage payment or your rent payment when you're living in a house. So no, you can't write off your dockage fees and things like that. I mean, it's your house. It's your living costs. I mean, that's part of life. So, let's see. How will we get our car from place to place? So generally, we put the key in the ignition and we drive it.
So the way, like we've been kind of finding ways to hopscotch the car so far in Florida. So our Mini Cooper, we're next stop, say, being Melbourne. To get it from here in Fort Pierce to Melbourne, we're going to drive it up there, and then us and Cherie's mom are going to get a lift back.
Either from a friend or
a
literal lift.
And get a lift back to Fort Pierce, and we'll drive the boat up there, and then we'll spend a little time in Melbourne, and we'll have access to our car again. We'll probably leave the car there in Melbourne until the next longer stop, and then we'll find a way back to Melbourne and then drive the Mini back to where we are. So we'll
hopscotch it. So there will be periods of time where we are carless. And then when we get to a destination where we know we're going to stay for a while, and it's somewhere where we want the car, then we can bring the car up. In Melbourne, at my mom's place, we're okay to leave the car there until, if we don't find a spot where we want to bring it up to, then we'll just return to my mom's place before we head out to Texas and get the car.
Yep.
So. And having a car actually gives us the advantage of, we have liability insurance to rent cars or borrow cars, where it gets complicated because you have to have a non-owner's policy to do that.
Tricky thing.
It's another tricky thing.
Doable, but tricky.
Alrighty. I think it's, I'm not seeing any other questions. And I think we've been chatting for almost an hour now.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well then we're going to go chill out, enjoy our big TV perhaps, and yeah, hooray.
And hopefully our carpenter shows up tomorrow, somewhere within his estimated time.
Fingers crossed. And then we'll do a full tour of the completed project when it is a masterpiece and done. Looking forward to that.
I am looking forward to being done. Alright guys, give us good carpenter stuff, and thank you for joining in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for letting us vent about some of this. I appreciate having a community, especially when we don't have too many local contacts here to talk with. So you're our friends right now. Yay. You're our friends always.
Yes. So, hey, take care.
All right.
See you guys.